Hey everybody, I just wanted to go over part 2 of Lab 11. It's the second part of the Esterification lab. Now typically when we do this live we call this a practical, or we do this as a practical where we go over how to do stuff and then it's up to you to kind of do it on your own. So we're going to kind of keep that in mind as we're going through here. And that's what the first part was. It was kind of developing the lab procedure, looking up other procedures, comparing it to what you need, and editing it and doing that. But that's the first part of the lab. Let's talk about the second part of the lab, which is now talking about purification and characterization. One of the things that you're going to be asked to do is purify this compound, and when you do so, you're going to do an extraction, and on the extraction, you're going to end up with two layers. You're going to end up with an ether layer, which has your organic stuff in it, and then an aqueous layer, and that aqueous layer is going to have a lot of benzoic acid in it. So when you purify your compound out of the ether layer and get that, that's awesome. You can definitely get that by distillation. You're going to end up having to also isolate any remaining benzoic acid, and we do this because of this note right here. When a reactant is recovered, you subtract out how much of the reactant is recovered so you can adjust the percent yield. And so that's what you're going to have to do here. So the yield data you get out of the ether layer, you get 13.83 grams, and then you get 2.33 grams of benzoic acid. So you're going to have to go back and calculate what the actual yield of methyl benzoate is. And so, and again, I put a note here that says, don't forget to take into account the recovered benzoic acid. Here is the corrected refractive index. And in order to analyze that, you're going to have to know what the refractive index of the other components of the mixture are, of the reaction mixture are. And so you're going to have to make sure you cite them, and then you're going to determine what about the purity and what is it mixed with. And now you have IR spectra. You can do a complete interpretation of this, of the IR, to determine if it's methyl benzoate. You have a proton NMR. Keep in mind this little inset here is a blow-up of this region here. Okay, it's a little hard to see, but you have a doublet and two triplets here. And again, that's what this shows. Okay, and then here's the carbon NMR. And while integration doesn't mean anything, I at least give you the data here to how many carbons it represents. Okay, and then lastly, of course, as we want you to do with all these labs, we want you to provide a well-written, detailed conclusion and supporting that conclusion with evidence from the lab so that we know if methyl benzoate was made or whether it wasn't made, and then so that when we say detailed, again, make sure that when you write your detailed conclusion, you're writing it in paragraph form with complete sentences, using data from above, IR data. You don't have to do a complete analysis using the IR data, but you do want to include IR values and NMR interpretation. Again, not complete interpretation, but some NMR interpretation, and same with the carbon NMR. And also you can also back it up with index of refraction data, and then you should also make some sort of comment about the percent yield. Okay, so that's a lot, but again, it's about writing good conclusions and improving your conclusion writing. So that is what you're going to be doing for the second part of the Esterification lab. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Have a great day, everybody.